Welcome back to Defensive Coordinator U. I'm Mr. Football. Today we're going to be talking about scripting your defensive calls in practice. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Mr. Football here today. Today, back with another edition of scripting your defensive calls in practice. Just wanted to kind of let you guys know there is just get some stuff out of the way. Down in the link in the description, you'll find one of my little websites that I have, and it is a free playbook download for the 4-3 defense. I'd greatly appreciate if you guys would check that out. It's at multiple43defense.card.co, and you'll find that there. But today, we are going to be talking about scripting your defensive calls. One final thing failed to mention, on July 31st, Saturday, July 31st, we will be doing a live webinar over pretty much everything that we've talked about thus far in Season 1 of Defensive Coordinator U, and it'll kind of take us into football season because it'll essentially be the last football season before pretty much everybody gets going again in August. So that's the plan to do that. Today we're going to be talking about scripting your defensive calls. So when we script our defensive calls, like, what exactly are we talking about? You know, what is scripting in play calling? This could be determined for the offensive or defensive side of the ball. But basically, you just run off of like a script. That's what it basically is. It's like if you're reading a play and it says that you read this line and that's what you do, that's the same thing in play calling. This happens, you run this play. If you're on the right hash and you want to run something to the field side, like that's what scripting, in my opinion, is. Or it could be a sequence of plays. It could be that you run inside zone first, and then you run, then you throw an RPO the next play because you're seeing what the defense is doing, and it's kind of like you're basically setting up each side. So, you know, we talk about it from the offensive perspective. Is there any value to doing it on defense? Absolutely. You know, you want to see the way that defense is played. You want to be able to have adjustments built in without having to have a certain call for every single thing the offense can do. And that's just a part of the chess match of football. You're never going to guess it right. You've just got to be in the right position. Your players have to be in the right position. And that's ultimately what we're trying to get out of this. Now, do we like to run blitzes on certain downs? Do we like certain calls in certain areas of the field? Oh, yeah. And so that's what our scripting is about. Do we want to be in a certain coverage when it's 4th and long or 3rd and long or 3rd and short? To me, one of the hardest play calls to make, honestly, is because it's such a weird down. It's like 3rd and 5. You never know what the team's going to do. You know, if they're averaging to get 5 yards, on the ground, they may do that, or they may, throw. So that, like, in my opinion, that's a hard one to coach against. But, talking about it from the practice side, because game planning and calling in the game is so much different, and that's something that we'll get into eventually, probably more in season 2, I would say. But how should we script plays in practice? And when we script plays in practice, we are basically setting our players up. We're setting it up to where they can be successful. Okay. Now, is everything going to be successful? And is it about just patting everybody on the back and saying, good job? Absolutely not. Okay. We want our scout team to make us look bad. I sometimes, I bow my efforts to them because sometimes they do a really great job. Most of the time, like, our starting quarterback will play on the scout team, and he will he can throw the ball well. We've had really heated team defense practice where, there's a lot of mouthing and it's a lot of good competition. And it's frustrating because I've been on the side of it where, we give up a big play and we all look like doofuses, and it's part of it. But in my opinion, it's the right thing to do. Am I going to script in plays that give us an ability to see certain things? How does the defense react? For me, sometimes team defense is often, it's kind of like it's just basically a quiz. It's basically a test. We're showing them this is the game plan, guys. This is what they're going to do. Now we get to team, that's you executing it. And obviously the ultimate test is on Friday night. So when should you script calls in practice? The best time you can script calls in practice, in my opinion, is anything where you do, scripting can simply be anything team-based. You could even do 7-on-7. I'm more lenient to not do 7-on-7 and just call one coverage or call, a couple different coverages because we want to focus, on those things. So like when we do defensive skelly in practice, sometimes we'll have some certain calls that we want to see. I'll see, we'll draw up those plays. We'll draw up to either side, full field. See what it looks like on both sides. I like to do it on both sides where you get, if we're running like a quarters concept on one side and we're running a zone concept on the other side, like I want to see both of those work. So sometimes we do half field coverage and we'll script what we want to see on those plays because you can see different things on different sides of the routes, on pass plays. So we do script our inside run, outside zone stuff, or outside run. We do that. But the big question, I think is, how do we get this done? All right. We get this done by using Huddle Play Tools, and I'm not selling this. I'm not, getting paid for this in any way. This is just what we do. But we've been, ever since I've been in my current school, we've been using Huddle Play Tools, and it's currently for us the best way that we do this. And we've been doing this in pretty much most of our team sessions. You can use this on the offense or the defensive side, but this is how I script our calls. And we essentially just kind of go through and do this. And in this video today, I'm going to show you guys how we do it. And there's a couple different ways to do it. If you go through, and the best way, just in my opinion, is to have everything broken down in Huddle, where you've broken down, down in distance, you've broken down formation, play call, play direction, hash, all of those things help put this into like a perfect scenario. Now we'll just go ahead and say that we've been game planning, and we've been game planning for a team that's going to run a lot of 20 and 10 personnel, and they're going to run inside and outside zone with some RPOs. That's what we've seen on film. We're just saying this to show this as an example because we're about to draw up some plays here and just show you how we script and kind of the methodology that we use. But is there the final thing I want to mention before we get into this, and something I wanted to elaborate more on is why should you script plays in practice? Because in a game, you're not going to necessarily get that ultimate script that you want because you can get off script really quick. In my opinion, when you script in practice, once again, it's coming back to, you're wanting to see your players execute. It's like asking a question in class and trying to get an appropriate response from your students. And so that's how I think of it in football. Is I have told them the game plan. It's like, all right, guys, they're going to come out and they're going to run inside zone out of 20 personnel, deuce backs in the backfield. You're going to see that. And then on, second down, they're going to throw an RPO. And on third down, you're going to see a sprint out. Like, that's the game plan. And so we want to show them bits and pieces of what they show on film. We watch film. Our players watch the film, but we give them a scouting report. It's not a very greatly detailed scout report, but it essentially goes over what we're going to see most of the time because teams do have a foundation. All teams have a foundation of what they believe is their base. And ultimately, if you can get them out of their base, you're probably going to be better off just in that way. So like I said, that's Huddle Play Tools. So we're going huddle here, and we're going to create a new practice script. This is under your play tools section under practice scripts. We'll go to new practice script, and we're going to base this off of some spring football stuff. And we're just going to call this DCU. Did practice this before we came in here today and make sure it all works right. All right, so when you get in here, now you can actually customize all of these sections up here. So what I have currently in here, it doesn't always show up like this. All right, this is what I use, and so you can reorder and change these however you want. Currently, I have down, and I don't always use down, because we don't necessarily measure like, all right, guys, it's 1st and 10. Usually we just say it. Or if we're in our third down situations, third down part of practice on Wednesday, we'll just say, all right, guys, it's 3rd and short. Like I'll just yell that out. So we don't have to be exact on those things. We do hash. Sometimes that matters. Sometimes it doesn't. Offensive formation, offensive play direction, defensive front. So this is where it gets into our specific calls on defense. So defensive front, blitz, coverage, and then the play card, and it'll show up here. And like I said, the play card, it says it'll be based off of offensive formation, play, offensive strength, defensive front, coverage, and blitz. And you can do this from the offensive side too. You can draw up your plays in here. You can put your formations in here, and as long as you have it in the playbook, like it usually works out pretty well. And I'll show you how well it works. But like I said, you can include other columns. You can actually add stuff in here. Some things have to be included just to make all this work. You can do a motion one, which we don't use. Offensive strength. I don't. Sometimes, I don't know, like that one's one I've not really messed with a whole lot. Maybe it's something we should look at. Personnel, that could be useful if you do everything off of personnel. I tend to not. It's just something that like coaches and us will talk about, but we don't let our kids see that kind of stuff. You can do yard line and distance. That stuff does matter too. But then what ends up happening is you get this long breakdown. And what I really like about this is I'm going to show you like the exact script that I run off of. But we'll just stay with mine for now because this is where I feel happy. All right, so let's just do a first play. Now, I'll show you in a little bit how if you already have your team broken down, you put all this in there, it all works. And it'll actually populate. You can add plays, take some away. You can duplicate them. So if you see a team that runs inside zone a bunch of different ways, you just, maybe you run it to the left, you run it to the right. Like, you could do that. So let's see that. So our team that we're playing today, I'm like I said, I'm just making some of this stuff up. So they're going to run out of gun twins. This is going to be your typical 21 personnel set, or excuse me, your 20 personnel set. 2 backs in the backfield, 3 split out. And we'll say inside zone. And you just let your plays populate here. There's the play. Play direction. They're running it to the right, we'll say. And we're going to run this out of our, let's say our G front. So we'll put G there. And the play should pop up. Let's say that we're in blue coverage. Let's see what comes up. Okay, it's not wanting to just here. Let's try over. So let's run this out of our over front. There it popped up. I don't know why G didn't. That's weird. Anyway. So there's over front. There it is. Okay. Now when you get to this, this is where we're currently at. All right. And so we'll enter this now, and we can edit just everything just like you would do if you were drawing a play. Now, the one thing that gets kind of funky on this, and you have to watch sometimes, is that, these circles and the blocking scheme here it's changed over the years where like I've used different colors. But really, if you don't change a whole lot of stuff, it shouldn't matter. That is the one thing that sometimes gets a little iffy at times. And sometimes you have to watch because, like, see this guy here. And personally, I think this is just a flaw. And maybe I just have too much stuff in it. I'm really not sure. But as you can see, I dragged this tackle around. He's still got his block on there. So sometimes it's just best if you just wipe the slate. So we can go up here and we can add a play. Let's say that we're gonna let's look for a gun twins. That one's so goofy. So we can let's do this one, and we're gonna remove the routes. All right. And we're gonna adjust this because this was down at the goal line. So adjust our coverages here. And just like that. All right. And so that right there. And then if we know exactly how they're going to block inside zone. All right. So let's say we're going to run the play to the right here. And so let's say they're going to press there. We go ahead and we'll make this guy block out here. And they'll run an RPO. Slant bubble. Right? Just like that. All right. So that's the first play. We drew that up, and that's what it looked. That's what the scout team would see. And we just go down here, and I think I got to drag my face away and just hit done. All right. So let's say, and let's change the third down because I think it was a specific. And most of the cards you draw up get tied to certain plays. So let's do right hash. Let's do, like I said, we'll do a couple of these. There it is. See, there's the play. And let's say they're going to run, we'll call it slant bubble. There it is. All right. And they're on the right hash. And what we'll have to do is we'll have to go in here and adjust this. So we'll go in here and adjust this right there. And may want to adjust the spacing. You see what happens there. You don't always have to adjust the spacing, but if you do move the players, you know, like I said, it'll mess some of this stuff up. And personally, I don't know, it may be just easier to delete certain things and just, you know, click off of some of these. But I wanted to try to drag these guys to the hash here. Don't want to lose my corner because it said they're on the right hash. All right, so we just drew up the play here. Like I said, we'll just say that they'll blocks up front like that, and we said they're running slant bubble. There, they're running to the field side, and we'll say over here they do the same thing. All right, and so that would be our play. All right, like I said, that's our second down call we have. Let's make another one. Let's add another one. Let's say that they're going to run inside zone, you know, another time. So we can duplicate a play, and we'll run it down here. And let's say that they, you know, let's say they're gonna let's say they run it to the left now. We can adjust this. We can actually flip the play. So left to right, and we can do it just like that, and then just flip the play. Easy enough, right? So there's a lot of value in kind of using some of the tools that they build inside of here to make multiple plays. You know, unless they do just like a lot of specific things, that's kind of how it goes sometimes. All right, we'll say that this is our script, and it's a short script. We don't script hardly anything over 16 plays. But when you go down here and you hit print, all right, it'll bring up some options here. You can do data on cards, which is going to tell you like, all right, it's third down, right hash, stuff like that. Show field lines, that makes it look good. And then we can do 1 card per page. You can do 2 cards per page. Personally, when we do a scout binder, it works really well just to do 1 card per page. And so what'll pop up here, what you'll get, take it a second here, is this is our script. This is the play script, okay? And then here are the calls. This is that data that they talked about. So down, hash, play direction, there's the call. I have seen it where these things get kind of goofy at times, but you are working with this program. But for the most part, it works well if you have everything set up in here right. So there's our 4 plays we made. All right.
And so that's what we said they were going to run. And that's, like I said, that's just how it goes. Now, what I usually do is I tuck the script down inside. If you guys seen my other video on the scout binder, you would have saw these in there. And it basically shows the scout team offensive coordinator who's running the stuff. Like, all right, it gives them the title. And usually the title's like, Tuesday team defense, or it'll be best four, whatever we do defensively, 7-on-7 Skelly. And it gives them everything. They don't really use this because they're more or less showing the players how to line it up. But what I also use is this feature. Now, sometimes I like and it really depends on what I see. If I have like more calls on here, sometimes I want this to be in like a different format, in a different layout, because what I will do in practice is I'll have this card right here. Sometimes I laminate it, sometimes I don't. But what I will do is I'll either, write on this, I'll laminate it, write on it with Sharpie, make adjustments, anything in here. It's got what I essentially do is I call off of this. So what I do is I make our calls based on this. So I will signal in front, stunt, blitz, coverage. And that's how we've been doing it. So let's go back and let's show you when you do this. And this won't matter if you do script only. This doesn't matter because all you're going to get is just the play script. Just like that. So sometimes I like to see sometimes the play call sheet, the scripting sheet being portrait mode. The other one does it in landscape. Sometimes that matters, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes if it's a shorter one, use the other one because it gives you a little more room to write. But anyway, I want to show you some stuff from last season where we had it all put in there and show you what a magic script is. The magic script enters all the stuff essentially for you, so you don't have to do it, and you can pick exactly how many plays you want to some extent. And I'll show you how that works. All right, so we're going to create a magic script. We can go in here and we can add the script name. We can change it to whatever we want it to say. So we'll just say, like I said, like most of the time it's just the school's abbreviation. And so the way, it'll we'll just say this is Team D. All right. And you can do it by play type. You can do run, mix, or all pass. I use all pass when we do 7-on-7. Do all run when it's inside run, mix when it's team. Just kind of how it works out. You can do it by situation. You can do it by third down or red zone. So we don't have to always do that. Unfortunately, they don't give you any other examples of this. And let's say the script size, let's dial it back to 10. So what they do is they give you 10 calls. You can go all the way up to 30. And if you've got a lot of films, like I think on this team we had like 3 films of them, so we had quite a bit, and it populated all the way to 30. And so by then you start to get into stuff that they did quite a bit more. And if you notice in here, it'll say clips of like how many clips they have of this. So just kind of based on that. So we'll make a happy number. We'll go 15 instead, because that's usually what we do, is just go 15. Takes a second to do this, but once you have it and it's in here, all that stuff that we were doing a minute ago is all here. And if you notice, a lot of this is still here. Sometimes if it's something you've not shown before or you've not entered, like it'll be blank and you have to draw it up, that's not a big deal really. So we said that gun twins inside zone out of 20 personnel was like a pretty good little thing here. One thing that they add in magic scripts when you are playing a team is they give you here it is. All right. And what it is it's great as a reference point, because you tag this in Huddle and then you can see, all right, this team runs this play. All right. And what's more beneficial? I don't care that it's a long run, but here it is. Here's them blocking inside zone right there. And so you're just looking for exactly what they do. Once again, I remember all this. They run slant bubble as RPO on the backside. Okay. We see all that, that's what it is. Okay. And I mean, like, that's extremely beneficial. Okay. Another one, outside zone. You can see just another example here. Okay. They'll run the play and you see exactly how they draw it up. It's all beneficial stuff. All right. And like I said, sometimes they'll show you big plays as well. But like I said, anything weird, let's look at empty, because this team used some empty on us. Like I said, that's all, and this is them in white here. But like I said, that's just kind of what we see. I watched this dang film so much, it's all coming back to me a little bit here. So I'm remembering all this stuff. So this was our last game we played last year. So it's some of it's still fresh in my mind in a way, because I basically started this whole series, kind of off of last year. But like I said, that's our 15 plays. Like I said, if there's some things you have to come in here and edit sometimes, little nuances that the team does, but that's pretty much everything we do with Scout Team cards. So that's really where we go into the defensive practice scripting, where we see exactly what we want to see, versus inside zone. So if I want to run, say, a 3 and a 2-eye, we run that 2-eye to where they're going to run inside zone, which is something I like to do, and worked very well for us in this game we played with them. If that's something I want to continue doing, like I'll set this up with G front. But what it'll do is it'll allow us to go in here and start populating our fronts in there. And if it doesn't do it the first time, you can always go in here and and honestly, sometimes this has worked better for me. When I drop plays, we do everything off of abbreviation of like their position. So end, tackle, nose, rush in, like that's what we do. And then we just draw it up like that. Because if you already have it in there and, like, relatively everybody kind of blocks inside zone, maybe a little differently, but, once again, it's all just based on what that team does. So we can do all of those things here in Huddle Play Tools and build our game plan within that, know exactly what calls we want to run versus certain plays. I just like having that kind of control. At one point in my career, I just gave the scout team person that was in charge, just gave them the book and they just ran whatever that was in there. And then sometimes did crap that wasn't even in there. Now, does that help sometimes if a team doesn't, run any draw plays and then all of a sudden they throw a draw play in there? Is that a knock on them? No. But what I've tried to do is trick plays, like throw trick plays in there at our defense. Because if a team doesn't show it, like, how do you know they don't have them? Not that we do a bunch of it, but it's like, all right, if they don't run, a mid screen or something, look like the tailback, I would just call it a middle screen or something, and they don't do that, well, it would be beneficial to just say throw a running back screen in there and just see what happens. All right, see if your defense adjusts to it. We do that kind of stuff all the time because you can't predict everything the offense has to do. In the defensive world, you have to be adaptable. And I think the one thing that I would stress to defensive coaches, especially young defensive coaches, because I was a young defensive coach one time, and what I've learned is, you're not going to be able to defend against everything. You should be able to line up and have a plan of attack for everything. I believe that. But, based on game plan tendency, things change. And if offensive coaches are good, like, they'll change up tendencies. They'll run a play out of a different formation. That's just part of the chess match that football is. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. And I hope it was helpful and just kind of an insight. Maybe it's too much for you. I've found a good balance with this, and I'm not doing too much of it, but we're doing just enough in team. We're not doing 30 minutes to an hour worth of team defense kind of stuff, but we're putting in things that work for our defense, and we have this has worked great for us. So we feel good about this and where we're going from here. So
I just wanted to say thank you guys as always for watching this video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. If you guys have any questions on this kind of stuff, please leave your questions down below. Your questions are always welcome. I hope you guys stayed and watched this all the way to the end. You get a special thank you for me. I know this was a long video, so I just wanted to say thank you guys as always. I'm Mr. Football, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.